As you've seen in recent videos, I'm a huge comic book fan and collector. Everything from Golden Age to Silver Age comics, raw and graded comics, Grail and independent, I love comics. When I was recovering from a major surgery last year, I decided to catalog my whole collection and price the comps for insurance purposes, and to make it easier for my family if they ever have to part with my collection for any reason. I spent numerous hours logging, looking up, and sifting through my whole collection and then putting it into a spreadsheet that I cobbled together myself. It wasn't until I was long done with the list and purchased and parted with some more books that I thought, there has to be an app for this that's way more efficient. And there is, and I found a few of them. Let's talk about those apps and go over those pros and cons right now. And for the sake of this video, we're going to try something a little bit new. It's just going to be some narration over the top of me actually showing you the app in real time. Well, apps in real time. And we're going to focus on 3 apps in particular. It was supposed to be 4, however, Shortbox requires a login. I do have one, but for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to like it. So we're going to kind of skip this one for now, because I've reset it several times and it still doesn't like me. So the first one we're going to start off with is Key Collector. But before we dive into that one, we're going to talk about the 3 things that we're looking at in these apps. Things that I think are pertinent to making a comic book collector's life really easy and really simple. The first thing is going to be ease of use. Is it user-friendly? Is it simple? Or is there too much going on that distracts you from the app? Is it free? Does it have a subscription? What's going on with it? Number 2 is organization. How does it organize your collection? Is it easy to navigate, to look at your collection? How do you add a book to the collection, and does it give you good information on the book's importance? And lastly, the value. Does it show you the value of the collection, or how accurate is the evaluation? Does it show you the comps? Where does it pull its information from? During our kind of run through today, we're going to use Foom 10 as our control book using all these apps. But without further ado, let's jump in there. First off is Key Collector. Now, Key Collector I've always heard great things about, and it's not something I have personally used quite a bit, but first impressions as ease of use is not there to me. Look how busy this is. There's so much going on that I really don't know where to start. At first I thought it was advertisements at the top, but it doesn't seem to be. It is showing you some stuff, and maybe that's kind of what holds off on the value part or the subscription, but I'll get to that here in a second. But if you look here at the bottom of the screen, there's what looks like a short box, and if we hit that, that does take us to our collection. And so far I do have 81 issues put into the archive, if you will, and we're going to open that up. Actually, no, before we open it up, let's take a look here at the top. It shows you that the current value for the 81 books I put in is $15,032. And it shows that I've paid $8,682, and that's for what I remember that I paid. And right now that gives us a net value of about $6,637. But how accurate is that? So let's dive into the owned books and see what we actually come across. So the second part we talked about is organization. I do like that it's alphabetical, but I just don't like the way that it flows. And this is just all kind of, I don't know, first impressions. And like I said, we're going to use Foom as our control, so we're going to open that up. And I already have my Foom 10 in there. So I do like that it gives us the books in this kind of scaled down. I only have like 1 book per title at the moment, but let's open it up and see. Because it tells me that its current value is $800, and I paid $700, which is accurate, which gives me about a net value of $100. And it's a 2.5 in CGC. What I do like about Key Collector so far is when you input the information, you can actually say what grading company it is. And it has CBCS, PGX, and CGC. I have CGC in this case, and mine's a 2.5, which is a good plus. I say it's worth about $800, and I paid $7. And you have the option to put in the details or just a quick reference, but I like the details, because the devil is in the details. Now if you look here towards the top, it shows you that there's a low value, mid value, and high value. Now mine isn't that mid. Even though it's a lower grade, I put it as mid value because that's what the comps go for. And if you don't believe me, let's take a look on eBay, because it gives you the option to say view on eBay right away. So it doesn't pop it up immediately, but here's one that's raw, not graded like mine, and it looks to be in somewhat similar condition, although mine has some cover issues, which justifies the 2.5 grade. If the cover didn't have its issues, like the chipping and little pieces missing, I think it'd be worth more like a 4.5 to a 5. But in this case, they're asking $1,199, which I think is kind of a fair price for a mid to high level, not the $600 that they're saying here. But let's go back again. And let's scroll through until we find another one. So here's a 5.5, so 3 grades above mine, and they're asking $1,399 as the starting bid, and $1,899 to buy it now. But if you notice, there is no bids on there, so maybe that is a little high. I do think my evaluation of the 7 to 800 is really accurate for this book, but I love that Key Collector does take you right to eBay, but as you saw, it does not give you all the comps right away. You have to scroll through and find them. And as far as the value goes, so far I've put in 81 books, and I literally haven't had to pay anything. And I've added more books in recently, and I've had no issues. So I think this is a really good bang for, well, the no bucks. The next one we're going to look at is comicpriceguide.com. Now this is actually one of the first ones that I ever got, and first and foremost, kind of similar to Key Collector, where I think it's a little bit busy, but there's only two things really happening in there, and this one does 100% have advertisements there at the top. So presumably that's how they offset the cost of the app, because so far I haven't had to pay anything, or have I? We're going to get to that in a second. But you see there's some member picks there, some books they're looking for, and I tend to find this to be newer books, and I'm more of a Golden Age, Silver Age collector. But if we scroll down, we'll see publishers, and those are all the publishers that I have kind of inputted so far. But we're going to tap collection there in the middle. And this one breaks it down pretty simply and very similar to Key Collector, where the top part is all the books I've recently put in. And down below is all the publishers. So instead of being alphabetized by the book itself and the book's title, it goes by the publisher of the book, which I think is a really weird way to organize, but I guess that's just me. But if you look there, you'll notice how it says issue collection count 50, and the total value is 13,086. It doesn't really give me comps or anything, but it keeps track of what the values are of the book according to priceguide.com. The reason I point out that 50, let's just take a look here and let me show you what I mean. We're going to go to search and explore. We're going to type in FOOM once again. And it pops up right away. And we select. I like the way they organize this. I think this is far superior than Key Collector so far. And there's our FOOM number 10. And this one, we're also talking about like the organization portion as much as the information it provides. I love that it gives you way better descriptions. It's the first non-story appearance of the new X-Men, predates X-Men GS1 and X-Men 94. And it's the first actual appearance of the new X-Men, non-story, and predates X-Men GS1 94 once again. So I love that it gives you that extra detail. And if you tap the photo, it gives you a bigger photo to look at. But if you look here, it has the raw and graded values, which I think is always appreciated. We're going to go down to 2.5, which my book is, and you'll notice that it says it's worth 60 raw and 120 graded. Well, even at the lower evaluation, even taking Key Collector into account, 120 is not even close. Because according to Key Collector, a mid-grade is 600 and low grade was, I believe it was 120. So a book like mine, even according to Key Collector, is at least 350 to 400. But as you saw, when we looked at eBay, they're being asked a considerably higher amount for them. And if we hit add to the collection, oh, alas, it does require an additional subscription and you do have to pay for it, which I'm not about to do that for, well, subpar organization in my opinion. So I like the way that it lets you look books up and use the price guide, but I really don't like the way that it organizes them in the collection tab. And lastly is my collection from Hipcomic. I just learned about this one recently. In fact, I'm in a group on Facebook where a lot of collectors get together and talk and ask each other questions to seek advice and direction. Well, someone made a comment of, hey, is these apps, I don't remember exactly what they said, but if I remember correctly, they say, hey, are these apps accurate when it comes to the pricing? Because I feel like they're way off. So I took a look and I thought they were right. So I asked the question, has anybody really used Hipcomics, PriceGuide.com, or Key Collector, or Shortbox? And if so, who do you think has the more accurate pricing? And unfortunately, my comment was declined because it was, quote, repetitive, and B, it's already been answered. And I scrolled through all the comments for the last couple weeks. That question was not answered, so I don't know what happened. But it's not my Facebook page, so not my problem. But back to Hipcomic. Let's go over our 3 criteria again. The ease of use. First and foremost, it is really busy just like the other ones, but for some reason this one feels a little bit more organized to me. And being organized in the comic world is really key to a satisfying collection, in my personal and humble opinion. But if you look towards the bottom, you have My Collection and Scan and Value. Well, we're going to hit My Collection, and it doesn't give me a total amount of books there at the top. Oh, it actually does. I never noticed that before. It says I do have 196 comics, and the total value is 15,926. And as you see, it's also alphabetized just like the other ones. But what I like about it isn't alphabetized by just the title. It actually goes in order too. So I've actually scanned Batman 404 and Batman 405 there, and as you see, it keeps them kind of separate, which is kind of cool. And as you scroll through, it just goes Batman to Black Goliath to Black Panther to Captain America, and so on and so forth. And what we're going to do next is type in Foom, because I already have this one inputted, I believe. And there it is. And again, back to the pricing, details, and organization. So it does have the pricing here, and I can also say, oh yeah, it is graded. It's CGC Universal, but it doesn't have me put in the actual grade. It just knows that it's slabbed, and it tells me good plus is kind of what I value it at, is worth $276.26. Again, way below what actual fair market value is. And I don't see how they get the pricing on here, because it doesn't take me to eBay or anything. But if you go to the top, it just says View and Guide, and it gives you their pricing. Which, again, 2.5, they say it's 276 graded, and raw is 221. It's not a $60 difference for a book like this. So, again, I think the pricing is off, but I really don't have a way to confirm. And it shows you, and I thought this is kind of cool, it shows you all the other collectors that have that same book in their collection. And there, if you look at the bottom, you see where it says scan and value. That's really cool, because you actually can scan your comic book. In fact, if I show you right there, that picture you're looking at is actually my particular comic book. It's the one that I own. But if we go back, it just gives you a stock photo. So I like the fact that you can actually take a picture of your book and have it on display in there. You can't blow it up, unfortunately, but it is there for you to see, so you can have your book on file, which is something you have to pay extra for when you get it graded by CGC or CBCS. So the fact you can do that yourself and have it organized is really kind of cool. But with all that being said, out of all three, I personally like Hipcomic the best. I just wish the evaluations were a little bit better and allowed you to do some more editing to it. But other than that, I think it's the easiest, especially with that scan and value, because it pulls all the values for you once you do it. It doesn't show you whether it's coming from eBay or whoever at that point. But across the board, I don't think all three of them had very accurate pricing. So in this case, we're mostly just looking for which book or which app gives you the best way to organize your books in your collection. And of the three that we looked at, again, I think it's Hipcomic. I always liked Comics Price Guide originally just because it gave you all the breakdown of the different grades, everything else pretty simple, but it doesn't let you go past 50 books when you're adding it in, and it requires a subscription if you do. And like all three, it just doesn't have, to me, accurate pricing. Same thing with Key Collector, but my biggest issue with Key Collector is I just think it's way too busy from beginning to end once you're in the app. So that's what turned me off to it. And I heard Shortbox is really good, but as we discussed, I have a login. I've tried to do it several times. It just really, really doesn't like my information, even after changing it. Oh well, but we can hit browse without logging in, and it's very similar in looks to like a combination of Hipcomic and Key Collector. So you have your portfolio at the bottom, you can shop, well, that's kind of cool, that's different, you can actually shop books that are on here, but it doesn't really let you add or do anything that you would like. So that one falls off the table. Hey guys, I hope you really enjoyed this. If not, I hope it was somewhat informative, and if it wasn't either of those things for you, well, I'm sorry I wasted your time. But hey, thanks for taking the time to watch, and if you haven't done so, please like and subscribe. This was a new attempt at a new format of videos for me, and unfortunately it's been really kind of hectic in the personal life, so I haven't had time to shoot or edit anything, and this is just me organizing my books, because I'm getting ready for Tucson Comic Con in the next couple months, and I might be selling a kind of chunk of my collection. I haven't decided yet, but I'm actually kind of leaning toward it, hence all the research heading up into time. All the research ahead of time, I should say. Well, it's time for bed. I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.